What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Talk Reviews, episode 204. And on today's episode, we're talking about men's Olympic hockey. We got the bracket to break down, plus the group stages and my takeaways from all that. So let's get straight into it. So yes, we're talking about the Olympics, the men's hockey only today. We got a lot to talk about, but we're going to try to get through it as quickly as possible to make this a very quick episode for your enjoyment. We'll start off with the group stages. Here are the games, the results, and the standings from each of the groups. Honestly, some pretty big results, some questionable results, some not really surprising results. Canada and US going 3-0. Slovakia ended up winning Group B. Finland and Sweden getting second and third, but Sweden getting the fourth bye going into the bracket, which we'll talk about the bracket after the breakdown of the groups. But really not some big results to really talk about outside of maybe Germany losing 2 games in regulation, one to the US, which is not surprising, but losing to Latvia. One I don't think a lot of people expected, but a lot of good stuff has come out of it. Slovakia, again, looking really good. Slafkovsky looks unbelievable. He looks like a lot of fun to watch moving forward. So really good results for some of these teams. Some not surprising results for others. So let's break down Group A right now. Obviously, Canada getting 9 points, winning all their games. But let's look at Switzerland, Czechia, France. France not winning anything, not surprising. Czechia and Swiss coming down to the last game. Czechia losing in overtime to the Swiss. In that one, getting the edge in the points. But my takeaways from this group. So we did, if you guys are following the socials, we did 3 takeaways from Group B. Yesterday I was super busy, but I wrote down all of them. So my takeaways from Group A, 3 of them for each of the groups. For Canada, they look unreal. I really don't know how they're going to stop them when it comes to all the weapons that Canada has. I don't know who's going to be able to stop them. Could it be a team like Finland? Could it be a team like, again, the United States, who most likely will be facing them at some point? I don't know. They're definitely going to have to do a lot of research on how to slow down this team. Now, looking at Czechia, in my opinion, very disappointing again, especially coming off that loss in overtime to the Swiss. I think an overtime win definitely would boost them. Obviously, seeding wise would get them a better matchup. But Switzerland, they're playing for Kevin Fiala at this point, which unfortunate news with him. He's done for the tournament. He's done for the season with the Kings. So really big loss to the Kings and Switzerland. So Czechia, I think, is very disappointing, especially when I had such high hopes for them, potentially even winning a medal for them pre-tournament. So big disappointment there. And lastly, Switzerland, I think somebody that you cannot really just really sleep on at this point. The top 2 offensive lines have looked very good. Their bottom 2, the bottom 6, not too great. So I think the depth-wise is going to struggle a little bit against some of the bigger teams. But if the top teams are able, or the top lines are able to score against top teams, I do not think there's going to be too much of a problem here for Switzerland. So that's going to be my 3 takeaways here. Canada looks unreal. Who's going to stop them? Czechia, very disappointing, especially after the overtime loss. And Switzerland looks like somebody that should not be taken lightly, based off of their top 2 offensive lines. But if they can't score, then they're going to struggle a lot, in my opinion. We'll go on to Group B. We already talked about this on the TikTok, so if you guys want a brief 30-second version, go watch that. But here it is, if you guys have it. Slovakia winning the group, but all 3 at the top getting 6 points. Slovakia, Finland, Sweden, Italy not getting any wins in that one. So tough for them. But my takeaways that I mentioned on that video, Sweden is not as good as they have been in the 4 nations and on paper leading up into this tournament, which I think is very disappointing for a lot of Swede fans. I would actually be very cautious about this team moving forward, but because of their talent that they have on their team, definitely don't think they are just a walkover for them. So definitely something to note, though, moving forward. Slovakia and Slafkovsky, already mentioned in the beginning, they look unreal. Really fun team to watch. The depth, again, is not all that great, but Slafkovsky is still going to be able to find the back of the net for this team. He's Mr. Olympics when it comes to Slovakia hockey. So Slovakia, Slafkovsky, really fun to watch. Could be a sneaky good team when it comes to a winner-takes-all matchup moving forward. And lastly, Finland. I mean, I think they're in the best form that they have been at this tournament, and they're finding it at the right time. Yes, the first game loss to Slovakia was not great for them, but the last 2 games have looked really good. 11-0 against Italy. They beat Sweden 4-1. So really good form right now for the Finns. I think they are going to be a team to be reckoned with when it comes to getting a medal in this tournament. And now we head to Group C, where we had the United States winning that one 3-0. Not surprised again, them winning that. Germany, Denmark, Latvia following up behind them. I think the shocking part is, again, Germany losing 2 games, 1 to Latvia and then 1 to United States. But my 3 takeaways, the U.S., despite going 3-0, which is very positive, the slow starts to their games are something to note. If they play against a team with a better NHL talent to non-NHL talent on their roster, I think they might struggle against some of these teams. So they definitely got to work on those slow starts moving forward, because I don't think they're going to be able to wear down a team like Canada, Sweden, Finland as easily as they did in the group stage against Latvia, Denmark, and Germany. So that's something to note there. Germany has been very disappointing when it comes to the depth and no scoring coming from outside of Stützle and Leon Draisaitl. Stützle has looked great. Leon has looked pretty good setting up his teammates. But outside of those 2 guys, there really has not been much to be excited about when it comes to the forwards of Germany. So I think you definitely got to be worried about the depth scoring here from Germany. If they could get a little bit of depth scoring and not rely on Leon and Stützle moving forward, they might win a couple games. But if they're not going to be able to do that, I could see them being a one-and-done team in this tournament. And last takeaway is Denmark and Latvia together. They're going to struggle without NHL talent moving forward against some of the bigger teams. They have some pretty good teams they have a good team against favorable matchups where the talent for the NHL teams for the other guys are not as much compared to them. So I think outside of some of the bottom, like 7 or 8 teams, I don't think they're going to win a big upset here. I think Latvia has a better chance to upset over Denmark because of what they did against Germany. They have a little bit more exciting players, in my opinion, than Denmark, but Denmark's got better NHL talent, so that might go a long way too. So I think the lack of NHL talent for Denmark and Latvia will be seen going into the qualification rounds and maybe even the quarterfinals if they could get out their first games. So let's get into the bracket breakdown. So the top 4 teams in the tournament got the bye, so the 3 winners plus the highest second place winner. So the number 1 seed was Canada, obvious, not surprised there. Number 2 was USA, 3 Slovakia, 4 is Finland. Now with those teams moving on, they have to face the winners of the qualification round. So Czechia versus Denmark, 8 versus 9 will have to face Canada. Switzerland at 5, Italy at 12, the winner of that will place Finland. Number 6, Germany versus number 11, France. The winner of that will play Slovakia. And lastly, number 7, Sweden versus number 10, Latvia, will have to face the United States. So really tough matchups for some of these teams. The U.S. won and Canada won. Definitely a little bit more tougher when it comes to what they had to face in the group stages. So let's get into the predictions moving forward of this group. So we'll start off with Czechia versus Denmark, 8 versus 9. Denmark losing to Germany is, in my opinion, a very similar comparison to them playing Czechia. I think Czechia and Denmark, or Czechia and Germany are pretty similar, but I think Czechia is actually a little bit better than Germany despite not having a higher rating. Oh, no, excuse me. Yeah, no, Czechia is lower than Germany. I think Czechia is a little bit better. Goaltender-wise, they're pretty even, though, with Grubauer and Dostal. But talent-wise, I think Czechia has a little bit better, especially when it comes to the depth, which we mentioned not that long ago. So I think Czechia wins this one over Denmark. But I think Denmark will keep it a little bit closer than I think most people will think. Number 5, Switzerland versus number 12, Italy. Italy's happy to be there. I don't think Switzerland really struggles at all in this one. Again, they're playing for Kevin Fiala in this one, and I think they're a team that you can't really sleep on too much, so Switzerland gets the job done over Italy. Number 6, Germany. Number 11, France. Again, the absence of depth here for Germany might cause them a lot of trouble. I don't think against France. They get past France easily, but the next round, Germany might have a lot of struggle there when it comes to depth scoring. Mo Sider does look pretty solid though for them, but I don't think that's enough when it comes to the defensive core to beat a bigger team. They get done, or they take care of France, but Germany may struggle next round. Number 7, Sweden versus number 10, Latvia. Again, I think Latvia has actually not a bad chance to upset Sweden based off of what we've seen Sweden do the last couple of games. They have not looked all that great in the defensive zone, so can Latvia get them pinned in the defensive zone, get some scoring opportunities, maybe get one pass. I don't even know who's going to be it, Gustafsson or Markstrom. I would think maybe Gustafsson, but neither goalie has looked all that great for Sweden. So high upset alert here for Sweden, but I still got Sweden winning this one over Latvia. It's a close game. Maybe empty netter kind of puts it a little bit out of the way, but I think it's going to be closer than what the scoreline shows. All right, so moving forward, they will reseed after the quarterfinal game. So we have Canada versus Czechia. I don't really see a world where Czechia upsets here. The bad thing is pre-tournament, I had Czechia beating Canada in a matchup, but based off of what we've seen so far, I do not think that's going to be the case. So Canada gets the job done. They move on. They got a lot of rest going into this game. Czechia does not. They're definitely going to smoke them in this one. Finland versus Switzerland, I think is actually a really fun matchup, 4 versus 5. Finland, I think, is, again, one of those teams that you just got to expect them to contend for a medal. They're in the best form that they've had. Switzerland, I think the depth is just a little bit weaker than Finland. Give me Finland to win this one. Again, another close game, but Finland will wear them down in the third period and get the job done. Slovakia versus Germany, I don't think the depth scoring is going to come, so I don't think Germany is going to get the job done. Slovakia is going to be on rest. Slavkovsky, Mr. Olympics, is going to score again. They're going to edge Germany. No problem there. Another exciting team getting it done. And the top seed again, I know it's very chalky, gets the job done. USA versus Sweden, a really interesting matchup for the U.S. I think a matchup that they did not want to see Sweden in. But the bad thing is, for Sweden's sake, is they again are not looking all that great on paper, or they look better on paper than they do on the ice. So can we see a team like Sweden figure it out in their qualification game, get past Latvia, and upset a USA team? 100%. We saw them beat them in the Four Nations 2-1, but I think this USA team is better than that Four Nations team. And I think the Sweden team right now is worse than that Four Nations Sweden team. So not a good look there for them. Sweden has a good chance to upset, but not a great chance to upset if they cannot find their form after the Latvia game. So US get it past here. And again, a very chalky bracket for my look here, but I think the U.S. get the job done. So we got 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. We start off with Canada versus Finland. A very fun matchup, in my opinion. I think Finland would be a lot of fun to watch win in this game. But again, I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Canada. Canada gets the job done. If Binnington looks like the Four Nations goalie that we saw, good Lord, Binnington is going to get the job done against Finland. Maybe against everybody moving forward. So I think Canada goes on to the gold medal game. Finland will drop down to the bronze. 2 versus 3, USA versus Slovakia. Again, I think another tough game for the U.S. I think the U.S. do get the job done. I think the edge goes to goaltending here. Hellebuck does look better in the U.S. uniform when it comes to winner takes all than in a Jets uniform. So I will take those chances over Slovakia. But again, if they can't slow down Slavkovsky, it might be a tough game for the U.S. team, and they got to find a way to not have too much of a slow start in that first period. But with Slovakia, the depth is a little bit weaker than Sweden. I'm going to say that the U.S. wear down in the third, get the job done big in the third period, so the U.S. move on from that. So gold medal game, USA versus Canada. Bronze medal game, Slovakia, Finland. I'll start off with Slovakia and Finland. Bronze medal game. I think this is going to be the quote-unquote upset. I think Finland gets the job done over Slovakia. These two teams met earlier. I don't think that is going to matter at all. I think Finland is always a medal contender in the Olympics, in the World Championships, in the IIHF World Junior Championships. I think Finland gets the job done. They edge them out. And I think it's not going to be as close as some say. I think Finland is just going to dominate Slovakia. Gold medal game, everyone expects this. Canada versus USA. Top teams here. USA has the best chances this tournament when it comes to beating the Canadian team on paper. I think Canada has looked unreal when you got players like Macklin, Celebrini, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon all buzzing right now and all together. I think that's definitely going to be a hard thing for the U.S. to try and shut down. The U.S. have very good players too, don't get me wrong. But having guys like that in this tournament where Celebrini's got 4 goals through 3 games, McDavid's got the most points of a Canadian player in the Olympics, I believe, in a group stage match or something like that. Crosby has now passed for the all-time leader in points at the Olympics for Canadian. I think that's going to be really hard to slow down because if you slow down one of those 3, there's still 2 more there. There's still a third and fourth line that can go out and score. So Canada's going to be really tough here. When you break it down position by position, offense, again, I give it to Canada over the United States. I think the amount of weapons that Canada has is just going to be hard for the U.S. to slow down. That's going to be a big difference maker. And that power play of McKinnon, Crosby, McDavid, whew, good luck. Stay out of the box if the Americans. For the defense, I give the edge to the U.S. I think having the versatility and depth there for the United States is a bigger plus than Canadian team. I think they have a little bit better options of defensive-minded players, offensive-minded players, and two-way players than the Canadian team does. So I'll give the edge a little bit to the U.S. And goaltending, I'm giving the edge to Hellebuyck over Binnington. Both goalies are going to probably be playing great when it gets to this point. Binnington is meant to play unreal when it comes to a winners take all situation, but Hellebuyck I think is just a better goalie right now. I'm gonna take Hellebuyck in this one, so 2-1 edge for the U.S., meaning I think the U.S. get the job done here. I think just by a little bit. I hope it doesn't go to overtime because I don't want to see a 20-minute 3-on-3 session against McDavid, Celebrini, McKinnon, Crosby, Makar. Again, the U.S. have good players too, but I do not want to see that against the U.S. in a winner-takes-all kind of matchup there. So give me the U.S. edging them by point in regulation. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you guys like the format? Do you think the U.S. and Canada in the gold medal game is evident? Do you have another team getting in there? Do you have a different third-place matchup? Do you think we're going to see a very chalky bracket, or is it going to be filled with some upsets here? Let me know down in the comments below. We'll have a good discussion. But if you guys haven't already, check out the links down below for the socials. I'm doing more social media stuff to keep you guys interested and intrigued on things that we're doing on the episodes. So make sure you guys check those out. Have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you guys later.